one's only worth $64 million. So there's a piece of land, had a house on it. They knocked the house down, built a $64 million mansion. The thing's done now. It's beautiful. If you can see, you kind of see some of these pictures here. I mean, it's
okay.
expansive, as you see here. The issue is, however, the town came to them and said, yeah, you didn't really get the permits for this, so you got to knock it down. Here's the house, $64 million home. Court has ordered them to knock it down because it was not allowed to be built on this property. Now, the crazy thing about this is, like, it's typical government overreach, right? Like, all right, I get the fact that you might think this is an issue, and there's some bad precedent and incentive if you just let the person get away with it, right? Like if they build a $64 million house without your permission or whatever. But, I mean, knocking it down is a little insane.
Yeah, like, why can't
we use it as an orphanage or
something, right?
Why can't they just say, oh, okay, whoops, we forgot to get the permits. How much do we owe you for that?
Like, what's the fine?
Yeah, let's make this right.
And that would make some sense.
You would think some clerk, like, would be like, how much property tax are we pulling in from this bad boy?
Exactly.
Maybe we should let this one slide.
Exactly. So, just to show you the depth of government incompetence all over the world. First of all, they want to tear down a $64 million house. He's got 18 months to tear this thing down, and that is like what it is. That's what he's supposed to do.
And he has to pay for tearing it down.
Yeah, of course he has to pay for tearing it down too, and he still own the property. So I mean, he's just got a property with a bunch of rubble on it or whatever. But the crazy part about it is, if he doesn't do it in 18 months, he has a massive problem because they are going to fine him $565 a day. So read this. I'm like, wait,
I don't think it'll be knocked down for a while.
A day. I mean, it comes to like $200,000 a year, which is not nothing.
Mere
but still,
pittance.
yes, exactly. Just pay the money.
Lord.
So I don't know if we don't know yet what the person's going to do. I would assume they're probably still trying to negotiate and get something worked out. But I mean, for a couple $100,000 a year, you just pay the fees. You just you send someone out with a check every day. How you guys want to collect this annually? How do you want it? Here's your check for $200,000, and you let it slide. But that is a crazy. I mean, the idea that a government is going to come to a guy who just built a brand new $64 million house and tell him to knock it down.
Is it brand new?
Oh yeah, I mean it is beautiful. It was because there was another. It's okay to live there. I guess they just say he built it too big or too much in the wrong area of the property. But again, like that is a. First of all, you got to tell him before he builds it. Like, you got to let him know before he builds it. And second of all, come to some sort of agreement. I mean, it's his property. And I don't know if that makes sense in France.
Well,
in the United States, it'd be like, screw you.
In France?
There'd be like bikers lined up at the outside of the property giving middle fingers to people as they tried to come knock it down if it was America. But in France, they're like, okay, I guess we'll just pay for it.
We were looking into buying property in the Mojave Desert when I lived in California. And California is very similar to that. Like, you have to have like a fleet of people to come out and inspect the property, the land, and then make sure you're not breaking some crazy environmental law. And they tell you how to lay down the foundation, and they tell you all these different things, and then you have to put in screws here because of some beetle that it's just it's so ridiculous.
Right.
But you're so scared to actually try and do one of these ventures on your own just because of all the government restrictions. Absolutely insane. That's California stand for you.
Yeah.